Hello, my GPS watch multi-sport loving friends. Today I'm going to show you how I have gone into Moves Count and set up custom sport modes for Ironman Triathlon. So first you navigate to movescount.com. If you haven't already set up an account, that's the very first step. But once you have an account, this is it. This is where you start. So first step is to go under me and go to your watches. These are the watches that I have set up in my account, and for the Ironman I'll be using my Suunto Spartan Ultra, which has the longest battery life of the Spartan family. So this is what I'll be customizing. So when you're on this page, you're able to see your various sport modes that are saved by default. So these are basically, when you're in the watch, these are the ones that are the top 20 that you use most frequently. I'm only utilizing 16 of those spots, but if you wanted to, you could add in other sports like yoga, weight training, etc. These are my favorite sports. So go down to triathlon, and by default in triathlon, it sets it up as triathlon race, and this is what comes with the watch. For me, this isn't really optimal because, for example, cycling, I'm not going to be using a power meter on the race, so I don't need to know for my power, or you could also have cadence. I don't need to know those things, and I also want to do some other customization. So first step is to press the plus sign and create a new sport mode. I've already done that, and this is my sport mode. So for swimming, really what I care about ultimately is my pace, distance, and the duration of that activity. And when you click down a further detail into the settings, this is where I've made some changes. For example, by default, it's best GPS accuracy for the swim. Like, I know it's definitely not going to be exactly 2.4 miles because no one swims in a straight line, so I don't really need to know that. So I'm going with good. I'm going to extend my battery life during this activity. Similarly, for battery purposes, I have turned off the color screen. It's just low color because I'm not even really looking at my watch during the swim. The other change I made was I set up an auto lap at 1.2 miles because that's in my Ironman Canada course. There's 2 laps of the swim, and I just want to be able to see later just how I did the first lap compared to the second lap. Let's see. I also went in and turned off the touch screen for the swim because it's very easy to accidentally knock the touch screen during a swim and turn your watch off or pause it. So that's off. So that's my setup for swim. Let's see. The second screen, I wouldn't really care about this in the swim, but just in case, I could see the breadcrumb where I've gone. So on the swim, that's not going to be used, but it's a default setting. So really, if I am swimming and I want to look down and say, like, look at my pace, that's the main thing I care about. I have a certain pace that I'm aiming for, and so that might be one thing. And then just overall time would be great. So next is transition. You can't really change any of the settings here, so we'll skip over it. Cycling. So cycling, what I will be doing for the race is I'm going to be taking the watch off my wrist and putting it on my handlebar, on a handlebar mount. So essentially it'll be almost like a bike computer because I'll be able to look at it on my bike rather than look at my wrist all the time. So the very first screen shows 5 different metrics. The upper left corner is current activity duration, so how long I've been riding my bike. Then my current heart rate at that moment, my current speed, current bike distance, and then overall duration of the entire race. So this will combine the swim time, transition time, and the bike time to that moment. The next will be looking at my different laps. So I can go, I'll actually explain this, how I set this up when I talk about settings, but I have set a lap to be 1 hour. So on the bike ride, I'll be able to compare hour to hour my average speed, heart rate, and distance. So I'll be able to say, wow, in second hour, my heart rate spiked, what my average speed is. That's interesting for me. And then I've also configured a screen that'll show 7 different metrics, and this is pretty detailed, but it follows a similar format to my 5 fields view. So current activity durations in the upper left, so how long I've been on the bike, what my current speed is, my heart rate currently, and then the average heart rate for the duration of the race. This is something I'm going to be checking and monitoring. It'll be pretty interesting to see. I have a certain heart rate that I want to kind of stay, a heart rate zone I want to stay in. So this will be important for me. My current activity distance, so how long I've been biking, how much I've climbed. So this is actually pretty interesting because Ironman Canada has a lot of climbing. So I want to know where I am on that climb. And then total duration of the entire race. And then finally, this is where navigation will come into play. And if you have been reading the blog post on Never Last Run, this is what I talked about first, is how to import routes onto your watch and to use during a race. So I'll be actually able to see where I am in relation to the overall course, which will be super interesting for me on the bike. Over 112 miles, I'd like to see where I am, and I'll actually even be able to see the elevation profile and where I am in regards to a giant climb. Am I halfway up? Am I all the way up? How far away am I from that climb? So that's where that comes into play. When we go into settings, by default, like I was saying before, it will search for a power pod and a bike pod. I don't know if you're supposed to say pod or POD, but we're going to go with pod. I'm not utilizing those things, so my watch will only be searching for my heart rate belt. Again, I'm going into the good level of GPS accuracy, 26-hour battery life. Ironman can only be 17 hours, but just to be safe, I want to extend that to be 26 hours. Like I said before, my duration for laps will be 1 hour, so I'll be able to look at my race on that second screen by hour. Let's see what else we got here. Auto pause, I've turned that on, so it'll pause my watch. Actually, I don't want to have auto pause on. Let's turn that off. We don't want to have our watch paused during water breaks, bathroom breaks, special need bags, because we want to be able to see our total time. And if it's pausing, then that's not going to be an accurate total time. Touchscreen for this will be on. So when I'm on the bike, I can quickly scroll through screens using the watch screen rather than the buttons on the side. Full color, and everything else is the same. So we'll save that. And then we're going to T2. Let's see, oops, here we go. T2, which you can't make changes to. And then finally, running. This is where I follow a pretty similar structure to the cycling portion. The fields are in the same spot because I'll be used to looking in the upper left-hand corner for the current activity duration, the bottom readout for the total duration of the triathlon. I think this is where I'll really be interested. At the end of the day, I'm going to be so tired and fatigued and hungry and sick or whatever, and I will really only care about total race duration. So I'll have the option to just turn off everything and keep it simple and say, okay, here I am. This is my total time. Let's go. Let's get to the finish line. And again, I've also included a navigation screen, so I'll be able to layer in that route that I plugged in using the GPX file, so I'll know where I am in relation to the entire race. For sport modes, searching for heart rate belt. In running, I want the best accuracy, and I've created a auto lap for every mile, so it'll vibrate and buzz at me every mile. That'll be nice to have that happen 26 times. And what else did I do here? Pretty much everything else is by default. So that is how you set up your custom sport mode within the Suunto moves count. And the final step that you want to do is you want to be able to, once you've set this, you need to plug your watch in and sync the settings. So all these changes are actually showing up on your watch. All right, hope you found this helpful.